Hey everybody. Hey TJ, how's it going?
Great. Thanks for having me on, Bruce.
Oh, absolutely. We are yeah, TJ. I don't know if you know this, but you are the first guest
Oh,
that I've had on our Probate Stories series.
all right.
Um, Congratulations, and I'm
Thank you.
sorry because we get to we get to work out all the bugs with some of the
That's
first
right. I'll be the
people that
guinea
are on.
pig.
Yeah, exactly. So, Probate Stories. Just want to let you guys know what Probate Stories is. This is a stories page and channel for those of you that are interested in seeing what successes and funny, difficult stories some of your peers have had that are working in the probate space. And I know TJ's been working in the probate space here for a little bit. Before we really dive into probate and everything, TJ, why don't you just kind of give us a little bit of a background on you, your real estate experience, and things like that?
Sure. Yeah. So I've been licensed since early 2018. Um, just kind of dove right in. Left the restaurant business, but that's a story for another time. Um, I really I did a lot of Facebook lead ads. Um, and that was working, getting a lot of buyer leads that way, converting. And then I decided to kind of make a switch. And you can kind of see the writing on the wall. And I know we don't want to get too deep into the Association of Realtors lawsuit or anything like that, but there's definitely there's a there's a definite interest, more of an interest in going after listings. There
Hmm.
always is. I mean, ideally, like if you ask any agent, really, they want to list more than they want to shuffle buyers around. So, anyways, that's the direction I was heading. So I was really looking around to try to find some things. I did some for sale by owner. I was mildly successful with that. Kind of didn't hated doing that, and I really was looking for a way to be more, that I could really make an impact and be more helpful. And
Hmm.
probate really just kind of calls to me. It's one of those things. Some agents I talk to, they're like, "Whoa, never going to do probate. That's just, they take too long. It's too emotional, too sensitive." And then other agents like me, I can really make an impact on in helping somebody, because there's a lot of agents out there that, unfortunately,
Yeah.
that just don't, maybe they don't have the experience, or they don't care enough, or they just, don't care to learn enough about the process to be really effective with helping.
Yeah.
So there's the end of last year, I really started digging into it. I didn't really seriously start doing anything until January of this year. January is when I sent my first probate letter out to about 60 leads. And so nothing, I haven't gotten a ton of return on that yet, but it does take a
Hmm.
while, a minute for the long haul. But I've certainly, from listening to you and the podcasts that you're involved with, I've really learned a lot about um, how to go about getting and helping executors and administrators.
Yeah.
And one of the ways is really to connect with probate attorneys. Well, I'm of the belief that, like, I like to speak things into existence. So anybody that'll listen, I'll tell them what I'm doing.
Hmm.
Well, at one of my closings I was telling my closing attorney that I'm getting into probate. It's going to be my niche. I'm just going to solely focus on that. And she said to me, she's like, "Oh, that's great, because I do about 20-25 probates a year, and a lot of them need to sell real estate." So I ended up getting a deal right away as a referral from my closing attorney
Oh,
slash
amazing.
probate attorney.
Yep.
Yeah, and we closed that 2 weeks ago. We closed on that. So, and then I have another one coming up that's a little bit longer of a process. There was no wills, and there's five heirs. Well, there's five heirs. One of them passed, and he had two children. So there's like guardianship and
Hmm.
kind of all that crazy. I'm learning a lot. I can tell you
Yeah.
that. I'm definitely learning a lot. Is a little more complicated than the first one.
Some of the
Um,
deals get a little bit hairy,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is why they need you.
exactly. Yeah, and it's been great. I've been over there with the house has foundation issues. It's one of those houses that is a little distressed and
Hmm.
is going to need a lot of work. Might be uh, an option for a quick cash sale.
Yeah.
Um, we're not sure. I think I'm going to list it though, because it's right in Atlanta. It's in a great location, and I
Hmm.
think we get the exposure on the MLS. I
Yeah.
think we'll get a lot. a lot more for it. But
Yeah.
and that's in a nutshell. That's kind of my background and kind of how I ended up in the world of working probate leads.
Well, I kind of like what you said. A lot of agents do shy away from probate. You're dealing with families at their worst, going through one of their hardest situations, and a lot of people shy away from working with folks when there's pain involved,
Mhm.
and you saw that as an opportunity to really make a difference and separate yourself and offer value that other agents just simply aren't willing to offer. Um, which is exactly why I gravitated toward probate and inherited properties. Is you look at what other agents do and they don't stand out at all because, hey, I list houses or I buy houses if it's an investor. Well, you're just swimming in a sea of thousands at that point.
Yeah. Yep.
Where when you can help with
Exactly.
something that's kind of a specialty need, you're one of very few.
Yeah. And if you can get good at it, and you really could be the only option, the only sensible option in
Yeah.
town. If you're
Yeah.
you could be the one that does probate. And then
Hmm.
from that, like, you don't have to do just solely probate. Like, you'll get families that you took care of. Like, when their son or daughter is ready to buy a house, they're going to call you. Or if
Right.
when they're ready to downsize, they're going to call you. It's just,
Mhm.
you just take care of people, and they'll, things will come back around.
Awesome. Cool. Well, you recently had a kind of an interesting, I think the attorney story is very interesting as well.
Mhm.
But you recently had an interesting encounter. You talked about speaking things into existence. Why don't you tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about that, speaking this relationship into existence?
absolutely. Oh, real quick before I do that, another, just on building like your team. Um, I was talking to I was looking for a financial advisor that I could send people to if needed. I spoke with one 2 days ago, and I actually got a lead from the financial advisor as well. So it's really,
Amazing.
yeah, it's really, I think that's important. Like, don't shy away from, um, like, or worry about building a team. Just tell people what your niche is,
Hmm.
and people will. It's so much easier to talk to people about a specific niche that
Yep.
you do in real estate, rather than when they ask you what you do, is like, I'm a realtor. Like, oh, great. You and everybody else that,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just
So
wanted to mention that,
no,
before.
that's good. And real quick pin onto that. I went to a networking event several years ago and I was not a big networker at the time. I love networking now, but very first networking event I walked into and there was a group of 3 or 4 people standing talking. And I always look for people's toes that are pointed out kind of away from the group, indicating openness. And
Interesting.
a lot of people face each other and they're talking even in an open networking event and you can see their toes and they're just a closed body language group. So I found this group that was open and I walked
Hmm.
up and kind of inserted myself into the conversation. And this girl says, "What do you do?" And I didn't know how to present myself properly at the time. And so I said what any other real estate agent or investor does. Oh, I'm a realtor.
Mhm.
And she said, she looked to her other members in the group and she said, "Oh, great. Another realtor."
Yeah.
And I was floored. Now, I've never heard that again, since then in networking
In front of you, anyway.
in front of me. Yeah, but that's exactly what a lot of people think when you
Mhm.
just use the generic, "Oh, I'm a realtor." Okay?
Yeah.
So, focus on the niche, and then you can expand it into other things. So, I coach real estate agents, okay? When I present myself, I have a custom approach to help agents get inherited listings. Okay,
Mhm.
that gets the attention because I'm just one of hundreds of coaches. If I'm just a coach for real estate agents, but when I focus on probate, I get the relationship, and then I can expand it into the other aspects of real estate. Same thing
Yeah.
for your business as a realtor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, all right, that was a little side rabbit trail.
Yeah, I took us on a
Yeah.
sidebar there, but
Yeah.
so the
So
so the
what happened?
okay, so quick story. I had a car. My it was a manual transmission, because I get bored when I drive, so I wanted to, something to do. This way back when. Well, the transmission went on the car, so I was calling around junkyards and whatnot to try to sell the car. It's 10 years old. It had the check engine light was on prior to that, so I just wanted to kind of get rid of it. If I get a few bucks, Great.
Hmm.
So I found a company that they came to pick it up. The driver of the tow truck that came to pick it up, he's like taking pictures, he's communicating with his company about a final price on the car. We just got talking, and he mentioned that his father had just passed, and so of course my ears perk up, and I said, well, that's that's what I do. Of course, I told
Sorry
him
to
I was
hear
very
that.
sorry for the loss and all that stuff.
Yeah.
First and foremost, we are humans, so we want to make sure
Hmm.
that human connection is there. And then I said that's what I do. I help people that that are going through. I try not to use the word probate because
Right.
oftentimes it's like a very hard word. I try to use a more rounder word, like transition, with an
Hmm.
estate transition, or in this case, I said, well, I help people that have inherited properties and manage that whole process because there's so much involved with it, and
Hmm.
oftentimes people need help. And he's like, oh, and we just got talking about it, and come to find out, his dad had a farm, and it was the house. I guess he said the house was condemned. I'm not sure
Hmm.
to what to say. We went to look at it. It wasn't. It's distressed, but
Yeah.
essentially, but um, and then as we were talking further, he mentioned that there was farm animals. He's like, I just can't. He's like, I just can't take care of them. I can't afford to go to the feed store and buy the feed and go down there every day to feed the animals. And I was like, oh, that, yeah. I'm like, that's like what's happening with them. And he said, well, right now the neighbors are kind of helping out, and I'm trying to get down there when I can, but we really don't know what to do with them. So I said, listen, I can help you with that. Like this is what I do. I solve problems just like this for families that just have these issues kind of fallen in their lap. And
Yeah.
it sounds great to you get a house left to you in a will, but a lot of people don't think past that and consider like all the challenges that come along with owning a house, and the bills that if there's a mortgage that needs to be paid, and if there's a utilities that need to be paid,
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff that goes along with home ownership, maintenance and stuff like that. So this one was a very unique, um, I guess it's not unique in the area. It's a little bit of a rural area in Georgia.
Yeah, sure.
I'm kind of south of Atlanta. This is a little further south of me.
Unique to you.
Unique, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but I know, I mean, I instantly thought of, I know that this can't be the first time that this has happened, that somebody needs to get rid of farm animals.
Yeah.
And that all kind of instantly thought in my head. And I had the confidence because of, I have a website that is
Mhm.
about probate, and I have, going to your coaching sessions and listening to the podcasts. I just had the confidence to say, I got that. I can handle that. That's what I do, is I solve problems for families going through this exact thing you're going through right now.
Yeah.
So, and I also know, after I thought about it a little bit, yeah, I can definitely handle that, because I know, like it's really a big trend. I think in a lot of places, it's a trend where there's like family homesteads, like
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
small micro farms.
Yep.
I know of at least 4 people that do that. Um, I know them enough where I could give them a call and say, hey, I have farm animals. Like, what do I do? And they would probably, one of them, I'm sure, could lead me in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
If not, I'm sure the county has dealt with it before, because there's a lot of,
Yep.
farmland in the county. So I think the point here, the biggest lesson here that if I can share is that I just said yes before I had a solution,
Mhm.
because I was confident enough from the work I've been doing, and getting familiar with the way probate works, and the fact that, like, knowing that building a team doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have every single person on the team stacked up and ready to go waiting for your call. Like, part of
Right.
building the team is like, as you have problems come up, you make relationships
Yeah.
by referring people to other professionals, or just helping solve problems, and other people see that you're solving the problems, and it just you slowly develop your network that way.
Yeah. I like kind of how you present yourself as I solve problems. It's not,
Mhm.
oh, I know someone that takes farm animals. Guess what? You didn't. It's not, I know someone that appraises antiques. Maybe you
Yep.
don't. I solve problems. I can find someone for you. I guarantee you there's always someone that can be found that
Yep.
does that thing, even if you don't know them yet. it's an opportunity for you to go meet someone.
Mhm,
So you'd
100%.
be doing yourself a disservice to not offer to solve that problem for them, because guess what? Now you don't have that chance to go find another connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm going to mention this part as well because it's kind of happens a lot where if you just put yourself out there and you're willing and able to get answers even if you don't have them. Oftentimes you really don't have to go through with the whole process. And what I mean by that is in this instance, the neighbors have really stepped up and they're taking care of the animals.
Yeah.
And one thing I didn't know, I talked to my preferred probate and lawyer and closing attorney. The farm animals have a value.
Yeah.
So if you start getting rid of selling off assets in an
Mhm.
estate too soon, like you could run into some challenges there. So that's
This is
just the
true. Yeah.
yeah. So, and which I did not think when I said, yeah, well, I can definitely solve this problem for you with the farm animals. Did not think of that at all until I spoke with the probate attorney he didn't have a probate attorney. So I recommended him,
Mhm.
had him swap contact information and they spoke. And then afterwards I spoke with the attorney and she's like, just be careful. Um, and I think that the welfare of the animals would be everybody's priority.
Yeah.
But it is
But
just
the
something
state
to
doesn't care
consider.
about the welfare of the animals. They care
Yeah.
about making sure that if there's value, it goes through probate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the neighbors have really stepped up and they're
Yeah.
helping with the animals. And I think that's all going to work out. So long story short, I didn't actually, it gave me the opportunity to think through how I would do that.
Yeah.
Now I have, if it happens again, which it may,
Mhm.
I know exactly what I would do. But in this instance, I haven't had to really pull the trigger on helping solve that problem yet.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes I think people just really want to know, in my experience, when I'm speaking with folks that have suddenly they find themselves in a probate situation, or they're either an administrator or their family has to administer a will or administer an estate. They just they can feel kind of alone. They feel like, oh my god, this thing has just been dumped on us, and I had
Mhm.
no idea of the complexity of it when I agreed to be an executor, or I had no idea that all these things had to happen, or there was a legal process and whatnot.
Mhm.
So I think letting people know that this happens all the time and that they're not alone and people have been through it and people are going through it all the time. I think that's part of the comfort that you can provide to
Right.
people. It's like, listen, you're not the only one. People go through this all the time.
Mhm.
I help solve problems for people just like you. We can get through this kind of thing. And you can see when you start talking about solving their problems and asking really good questions,
Yeah.
you can see the stress kind of melt off their face. And
Yeah.
you can see this like relief. It's almost like color comes back into their face. It's really hard to explain, but if
Yeah.
you've experienced, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just that relief of like, okay, then there is a pathway,
Mhm.
to get through this. So
Yeah.
that's my favorite part about it.
It's not a well lit pathway for the person that didn't even know that they needed help to begin with, that didn't
Mhm.
have this situation before, but it is there. And to have a guide, make them the hero in their story, and you're the guide
Mhm.
that's done it before and that can help, makes a monster difference. Um,
Absolutely. Mhm.
and I just love the stories that I get in probate and the people that I help, and some of the people that started off the most resistant that just completely opened up, and then they say things to you like, "We could have never done this without you."
Mhm.
Okay, you're our realtor for life. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
if it's probate in the future. You're our person for life. Man, no better feeling.
Yeah, it truly is. I mean, you always hear that real estate is a business of relationships, and
Mhm.
there's no better catalyst, I think, to build a relationship than somebody that's really going through an emotional,
Sure.
challenging time. So,
Yep. Yep.
and then,
Good.
and if you're helpful, if you're not
Yes.
helpful, it could go the other direction.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, cool. TJ, man, I appreciate you coming and sharing your stories with us. I almost like the story of the attorney as much. We came to talk about farm animals,
yeah,
and then I heard about your real estate attorney was doing probates and you had no idea.
Yep. It's just
Dude.
about, like I said before, like don't hide, don't be afraid to tell people that this is your niche.
Mhm.
This is what you do.
Yep.
Whether it's probate or it's something else. If you help first time home buyers or new construction, just, yeah,
Yeah.
I think sticking to a niche and speaking it out loud to everybody that you meet is the way that somebody along the line is going to say, I know somebody that can help you, or I can give you a
Yeah.
referral.
Well, sticking to a niche is memorable. Somebody
Mhm.
goes out and they meet 10 people today that say, "Oh, I'm a realtor. I'm a realtor. I'm a realtor." They're not going to remember any of the 10. If one out of those 10 people said, I help families go through probate that have inherited real estate, they're going to remember that person. Or I help people that are buying $1 million new construction. They're going to remember that person, because what you're saying is a little bit different than the story that everybody else is saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right, TJ, appreciate you being here, man. I am going to go ahead and end the recording, but thank you so much. If anyone
Yeah,
wants to know a little bit more about probate mastery or what we offer, I encourage you guys to go check out probatemastery.com. And hopefully I'll see you guys soon. See you in the next stories. And TJ, I want you to come back, get a couple more deals, and I want to hear about those on our probate stories series. You were the
absolutely.
first. Hopefully we'll have multiple stories to come.
I'll keep coming, making cameos, coming back.
Yes. Love
All
it.
right.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Bruce.
man.